Well, it's a great day outside, and thank you for joining us on County Connections. I'm Tom Laux, your Communications Director here at the City of Marshfield, and we're on our Marshfield Broadcasting channel. Thank you for joining us again, and I have Scott Goldberg instead of Sean Becker today.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, Scott, you're the investigative lieutenant, I shall say, and you're going to tell me about yourself, how you got involved in law enforcement. That's your first time on the show.
Sure, yeah. I guess I'm getting old fast. I've been a cop for 17 plus years. I grew up locally in like the Vesper, Arpin area. And from there, I went to college at UWSP and played a little football there and enjoyed my time there. And then started out in Adams County as a deputy there, and then quickly came up to Wood County. And I've been in with Wood County for a little over 15 years now. And I kind of went through the ranks. I became a patrol deputy and spent some time on the road for quite a while, and then was an investigative sergeant. And my primary location at that time was up here in Marshfield, and spent most of my time investigating crimes that took place on the northern end of the county. Recently, been promoted to investigative lieutenant approximately, not quite 2 years now, so I have a little bit of time in there. So that's kind of how I got to where I am now, and I really enjoy working for Wood County. Working for Sheriff Sean Becker is awesome, and really enjoy working with the community. There's a lot of benefit for me. Growing up and spending some time in Wood County, it's very nice to serve our community.
Well, it's a little different here in Wood County because you have two large cities at each end. Is that a little bit more difficult being in the department versus some other areas and counties?
Yeah, I think there's some challenges that come with it, but I think over the years we've kind of mastered those problems. Having two offices, and maybe not all of the listeners know that we have two offices, one in Marshfield. So we have at least two investigators at all times working on the north end, and then about half our deputies working on the north end at all times. And then on the south end of the county in Rapids, we have, I believe there's 5 investigators down there, along with that includes one of our mental health officers who's included in the investigative division, and the other half of the deputies working there.
There's a lot of territory to cover. You have Port Edwards, you have Nakusa area, Buren, and then that's all in the southern Saratoga, all those Grand Rapids, and then Rudolph, right? And then you come up here, and you have all that here, all these littler towns, but you got a good-sized chunk of all Marshfield. A little bit of Marathon County covers that, but not a lot. Yeah. You probably work together with Portage and Marathon, too. Do you guys working together on a lot of things as well at times?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's everybody kind of knows that crime doesn't follow jurisdictional lines, and I think law enforcement in general has gotten a lot better with not being so prideful to try to keep things within their own departments. And I work regularly with all the agencies around our county: Adams, Clark, Juneau, Portage, Marathon. We work regularly with the Department of Justice. This morning I had a training with them. So we have great relationships with these people. Without those relationships, we couldn't function the way that we do. And, the agencies within our county too, Marshfield, Rapids, Port, Nakusa, Grand Rapids. I mean, there's a lot of cops in a small area when you think about it, but we need it to have it that way to have a safe community.
Yeah, no, most definitely. You got to be able to work together as a team. You may get into some events that require mutual aid, and you got to be able to know each other and be able to have good instincts with each other. One of the questions I was curious about is if you were to see a speeder or I don't know if I could say probably not called speeders, but we call, most of the citizens say
Sure.
speeders.
Sure.
Can you arrest somebody in another county, or is that not allowed?
Sure. So primarily, no. We have to stay within our jurisdictional lines.
Okay.
There's certain things out there where we can make arrests. Traditionally, we would want our deputies to just, call those in just like a normal citizen. But felonies can be made across the state if you're a law enforcement officer. But safety-wise, it's probably wise just to go ahead and call another agency, just keep eyes on it, on that person if they're committing a felony. So for the most part, no.
But you do see sometimes high-speed chases that go across county lines, and you may encounter other agencies. Is that right? That can
Yeah,
happen.
sure. I've been involved in pursuits over the years where we cross county line, and there's a statute that covers that. It's called hot pursuit that allows us to basically make those arrests in other counties. So if the crime was committed here in Wood County, we can continue on into another county to investigate it, if that makes sense.
Okay. Well, that term hot pursuit actually exists.
Yeah, it does exist.
See,
yes.
I heard that on Dukes of Hazzard,
Yeah.
so I know I had to say it, but we all heard it, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, that's neat. Well, let's get into some of your investigative role. Cryptocurrency. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, so it was a learning curve for me too. I'm not a person that does a lot with trading and buying and selling stocks. I knew very little about it, but I've heard of Bitcoin, which a lot of people have heard of Bitcoin. That's probably the most popular and most known cryptocurrency. So it's just a digital currency. It's not like something physical like we do have cash. It's this digital currency that people have. And they call them like digital wallets, and people have their money in their digital wallets. It's such a foreign concept to me, but it is very popular. It's getting more and more popular, so it's good that we're learning about it. But unfortunately, we kind of learned about it in a way that wasn't very good, because it turned out to be a couple individuals that scammed out of about $9,000 with the cryptocurrency. So around March, we received a complaint from a couple in Wood County that had gotten a phone call from what they believed was their bank. And these individuals identified themselves as their bank and said, "Hey, your account's getting scammed. Please come and withdraw some of your money, because all of your money is going to disappear." And so these people obviously didn't want their money to get scammed, so they went down to the bank and they took it out. Little they know it was not their bank, it was some scammers. And the scammers had them go to what's called a cryptocurrency ATM. And what a cryptocurrency ATM is it's a place to purchase this cryptocurrency. It looks like an ATM, just like an ATM, except for instead of getting money, you put your money in to buy cryptocurrency. So there's a few places in Wood County that have them. They're more popular in the more metro areas like Madison and Milwaukee, but we do have them in Marshfield and in Rapids. And so what happened was these individuals put the money in there, $9,000 put into the cryptocurrency machine, and there's a fee that the cryptocurrency company takes off the top, and then the rest of that money went to the scammers. So basically they created an account, the money went to the scammers. But because we knew that cash was still in there, we executed a search warrant on that actual machine and took the $9,000 out and got that money back to the victims, which is great, because normally that doesn't happen because we don't find out soon enough. And so we ended up getting the victims their money back. The company out of Florida that owns the cryptocurrency machine ultimately is the victim in the case, because they're out that money. So they're out their $9,000 because we gave it back to the original victims in this case, citizens in Wood County.
Yeah, I see how they're the bank in a way.
Yes, and so that's the interesting thing about cryptocurrency that we learned is there's not a lot of federal regulation. So that goes along with cryptocurrency. There's not tracking of money like we have in our current banks, and they're not insured like normal banks. So if you have money in a bank and somebody steals money out of your bank account, then that bank account is going to cover those losses. Where cryptocurrency, when your money's gone, it's gone. And so it's super dangerous to mess around with it if you don't know what you're doing. I'm sure there's some really good benefits and there's legitimate ways to do it, but you want to be very cautious and have a good understanding of what you're doing if you're doing that.
Okay, so there are machines here in Rapids and Marshfield. They look like a ATM, but they're labeled as like, what are they? Are they called something?
This one was like called a Bitcoin machine,
Okay.
but they are cryptocurrency because there's other types of cryptocurrency besides Bitcoin, and so they look like an ATM, maybe a touch larger than an ATM, a little taller.
Okay.
A lot of times they're pretty bright because they're trying to draw your attention
Right.
to them.
Okay, so you put your money in there, the money goes in there, and what is then what do you get back? I'm curious.
Sure.
No idea.
So what you're getting back is you're getting this cryptocurrency, this digital money. That's basically you have this money because it's this cryptocurrency, and they put it in what's called a crypto wallet or digital wallet, and the other part of that is I can send that to your account and you have this money. So it's just this transfer of funds basically. And that also can go as simple, you can move it to a thumb drive, take it out, and then nobody even knows that you have that money. And that's where this becomes very dangerous because it's easy to scam that money, because if that money is, in this case, potentially, and I don't know that in this case, but let's say that money was transferred to an individual who put it on a thumb drive and just took it out of a computer, it's gone. We can't track it then.
Right.
And then down the road, they can put it back into a computer and pull their funds out if need be.
It's totally a different world. Now, Apple Pay, things like that, is that something similar?
No, that's real. From my understanding, is that's real money. That's real currency coming from your bank account, things like that, or a credit card.
Credit card.
Yeah, where this is totally digital.
But it is money that they have to put in the machine. So, but the owner of the machines, which is the crypto owners or agent or whatever you want to call it, have that money, and then
That's
you
correct.
can spend that money.
Yeah, you would have to cash out your
Right.
your shares of your cryptocurrency.
Does it make money or something? Or
Well, so interestingly, if you are into stocks, which
Yeah.
I'm not,
Yeah.
a Bitcoin share at some point was $25,000, $30,000 a share. So you're actually purchasing a small portion of this actual share, a very, very small portion. But in this case, like $9,000. So they bought, let's say, a third of a share, and they bought a third of this Bitcoin share, basically.
Okay.
And so we had worked with the state on this and worked with several different agencies because this is the first time it had happened to us in Wood County that we're aware of. Interestingly enough, a big problem with these cryptocurrency machines are they're just simply scamming. They're scamming people for the money, one. Two, it's a way for people to clean their money. So if they're doing something illegal, we found out that drug dealers use these a lot. So if I'm selling drugs and I'm making $10,000 and I show up at the bank with my $10,000 with that, the bank's going to wonder, where did you get $10,000 cash? So if that continues to happen, someone's going to start to look into you. So it's a way to clean your money. So you can go to the machine and basically put your hardcore cash in the machine and buy a piece of Bitcoin. So you buy this little bitty Bitcoin, and then you cash out on your investment. And then when you cash out on your investment, you can put that in the bank and tell the bank, I had an investment, I cashed out. Now your money's clean. You can pay your bills, do whatever you need to do with it, and a way to clean your money.
Does that come in a form of a Bitcoin, like a check?
Yeah, so traditionally, I think it's done like digitally,
but-
and then that money would be put into
Yeah.
your bank account.
But you've lost the transaction at the beginning, which could have been the money from something illegal.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So
wow.
there's a lot to it.
There is a lot to it. But to get a machine, how does a crypto place get a machine into an establishment? Is there any?
Sure.
Is that legal?
Yeah, so it is legal. We found that basically in Wisconsin, they're unregulated, and there's no state laws on them. There are several states creating laws that put regulations on these machines. New York, Ohio, Illinois are a couple states that have been pretty progressive in this, and they are at least putting some type of restriction and a monitoring system on these machines, and forcing some of the companies to ensure the money going in and out of those machines. How companies get into these establishments is they're basically paying, let's say it's a gas station, they're paying that gas station for a space to have their machine there. So I don't know what the fee would be. Let's say $100 a month. They get $100 a month to have this machine sit there, and then that's their benefit basically. And maybe it draws in some more customers because they're using the machine or whatnot. So.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense in how they do this, and I guess those operators can do that legally.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they make money off of that as well, the actual owners of those machines, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So in this case, $9,000 was put into the machine. They only purchased, let's say, 8,500 of actual Bitcoin. The $500 fee goes to the company of the machine.
That's what I thought. So
And so the real problem with that is the machines don't make any sense at all, because if you want to go buy Bitcoin, you can download Robinhood on your phone right now. It's an application where you can buy stock for free. It'll take the money out of your checking account or bank account for free, and you can buy your Bitcoin. So there's no point in going to the machine and paying $500.
No.
In doing so. So, yeah, the struggle is there's just no regulations on these machines at this point, or very little, and the companies know how to work their system underneath state law, so there's no regulation.
So we were talking about machines, but I have seen buying things online that you can pay for it using things like Bitcoin. Is that what you're saying? It's a little different. You can actually put your credit card in. I think you can pick from what things you want to use, and then it's a certain percentage there.
Yeah, so cryptocurrency is becoming pretty darn popular, and there's even car dealerships you can buy cars with cryptocurrency. I think most notable, I was told by one of our deputies that I work with that talked about how you could buy like a Ferrari or a Mercedes or something like that with Bitcoin. There's dealerships that do it.
Wow.
So, like I said, I'm far from an expert with it, but it's a big time learning curve for us. Yep. And pretty thankful some guys from the state and one of our investigators, Jeremy Keith, who's an investigative sergeant, kind of specializes in our computer crimes area, and he had a better knowledge of all of this. And I'm thankful for him to be able to grab this case and run with it, and he did an excellent job. Now we're still trying to search for who took the original money, who scammed the money away from these people, and now the individuals from Florida, the victims of this case. And that investigation will take some time because we're tracking bank records and the records of the machine and things like that. So that'll take some time. But sometimes these are unsolvable because they go across seas. And then once you're across seas, unfortunately, a lot of countries aren't going to work with us, and that money's gone forever.
Wow. Wow, there is so many ways to scam somebody, isn't there?
There sure is. And I will say this. One thing I will tell the community, and I'm very passionate about this, is nobody's ever going to call you and tell you to come take money out and give it to them. Nobody's ever going to call you and say, you need to come to this location and pay something. Your bank's never going to do that. The sheriff's department's never going to do that. The federal government's never going to do that. It's never going to be a phone call to say, hey, you need to come take money out of your account and go do something with it. That's never going to happen. So those should be clues. If that happens, pause. Or even if you're just curious or concerned about a phone call, I would rather have you call our dispatch center and reach out and hopefully, even if it's legitimate, I would rather cover your bases so the scam doesn't take place.
Right.
Just err on the side of caution, if you will, if you're going to actually do something with large quantities of money.
Yeah, that's a really good tip. I don't know if you have young kids. Some of these apps called like Among Us. You hear all these, and these kids are putting in money, parents' money in. They have this new one called StarPets.com or something, and I don't know if you ever heard about it, but they're even they're expensive. They have bots and stuff that does stuff. But anyway, these things can be $50 to $800. And I'm hearing little kids get scammed by taking their virtual pet away by not giving it back to them. It's crazy.
Well, and I think some people forget, and I've never heard of that, but I do have little kids, but they're luckily not at the age where they're buying things like that yet.
Okay, yeah. Not yet.
But your credit card, a lot of people have their credit card attached to their phone, right?
Yeah.
And you can't set up some of the accounts unless you have a credit card.
Nope.
And so it's pretty easy if someone gets a hold of your phone to purchase things. I think on my Amazon account, people often think of Amazon is a very convenient tool, which it is. Don't get me wrong. I buy a lot of things on Amazon too. But the reality of it is if somebody gets a hold of your phone, they're attached to your account. You can change where things are shipped, and you can get a lot of things shipped to you very quickly, as we all know, from Amazon without you even knowing it.
Yeah, and like, where did that come from? I didn't buy that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or I still get things that I never bought it, but
Exactly.
I guess maybe I did buy it. Wow. Well, these are good, very good tips, and people need to be aware of any kind of scams. And if there are, all they need to do is they can reach out to the sheriff's department. Is there a number? Do they call dispatch? What do you do?
Yeah, so the best number is just call our dispatch to get things rolling. So, just our non-emergency number, 715-421-8700. We'll get you a hold of our dispatch center. If you have some concerns that possibly you've been scammed or you have been scammed, and then a deputy will come to your house, or you can come into the sheriff's department, and then ultimately those end up in investigations, and we start that process. I always want to tell people, though, it takes a long time. These investigations are tedious because it ends up being time-consuming because you have to write search warrants for all these different devices that money is attached to and try to get to whoever took it, which can be pretty difficult.
Do you guys have a Crime Stoppers? Is there a Wood County Crime Stoppers?
Yes, there's Wood County Crime Stoppers. You can call in and make an anonymous tip there's through the app. There's an app, and then also just call into the number of Wood County Crime Stoppers and provide a tip that way too for any crime.
Some of that is you can get a reward too, right?
Absolutely, cash reward depending on what kind of information you're giving, and some of our biggest drug cases we had this last year, and we had some really big drug cases that took place in the county this last year, came from citizen tips, and they started with citizen tips. As simple as, hey, we're seeing a lot of traffic at this house, vehicles coming and going. Next thing you know, we start putting some time in on those types of tips, and they've been very reliable. So if you've got information, please call the sheriff's department. You can call our dispatch center and just say, hey, I don't want to tell you my name, but this is going on. Or you can call Crime Stoppers and do it that way too.
But it's all confidential.
It's all confidential.
Yeah, so you don't have to worry about the reporting on somebody that would maybe come back. You're afraid someone would come back at you.
And that is the fear, right? And you should feel very comfortable with that not happening. So
Okay. Well, you got a few more minutes left. Let's take a turn over to the jail.
Sure.
What's going on over there?
Well, it's exciting, I'll tell you that much. Working for the Sheriff's Department for 15 years, it's been a long time coming, and it is moving along. If you've had the chance to get down to Rapids and check it out, there's 3 stories of buildings going up, and I'm being told that we're on schedule or maybe a little ahead of schedule. But now the challenge comes into effect is, getting everything that we need in. All the either equipment or getting the tools that are needed or the actual building materials. So I don't want to get too excited that we're going to be in it next year. By the end of summer, because we're not. But the reality is it is going up quick. And if you're a historian, like I know a lot of people are, and you want some pictures, it's probably a good time to go check it out because it's going up pretty quick.
Exactly, because a lot of the stuff is going to be inside later on. We ain't going to be able to see it.
Exactly. But the outside, it's kind of like when you notice a house going up in your neighborhood. It's like, holy cow, there was no house there one day, and then 2 days later there's a whole structure.
Right.
And then it's like the people aren't moving in because you still got to do
Right.
the electrical work, you got to do the plumbing, the drywall, and that's what's going to take place, and that's what's going to slow things down.
It take a long time. So that jail, is there a place then for like a gym or anything, or is there anything like for the inmates to do something inside?
There'll be different areas for the inmates to have their rec time, per state statute.
Okay.
So there'll be things for them to do, but for the most part, county jail's pretty boring.
Oh, right.
And because you spend a lot of time, in your cell and we have recovery programs and we have different programs to try to help treat people along with education. Because we don't want people in jail, right? We want them to be a short-term resident and get out and never come back. But it's not like a prison, like people see in movies and things like that, where there's a huge weight room and people are lifting weights or playing basketball.
Yeah.
For the most part, the county jails don't have those.
Don't have that.
No.
Okay. And then hopefully down the road, once that's built and ready to go, you won't be transporting those to Wapaka or wherever you got to go. Yeah,
Wapaka, Adams County are most notable places that our inmates go, and we won't have to transport. We don't have to pay those other counties significant amounts of money, and we'll have all of our inmates right there. So it's really nice for investigations because right now, if we want to interview somebody that's in our Wapaka County Jail, we either have to go to Wapaka to interview them or have them shipped back, and then we interview them at our home facility. But it ends up being a day process running over and interviewing somebody, so it's going to be really nice to have them right here.
Yeah, and in court as well.
Absolutely.
Everything tied together. Well, we're out of time, Scott. 28 minutes goes by fast.
It does. So I talk a lot, too, apparently.
No, this is good. I'm glad you talked about the currency, the cryptocurrency, something new for our viewers to better understand, and myself as well.
Sure. I hope it helps.
Yeah, it's very educational, and you don't want to get yourself in the wrong area, and hopefully this will help people steer themselves in the right direction.
Well, I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, all righty. Well, thanks again for watching us on our County Connection program. I'm Tom Laux, the Director of Communications for the city, and thanks for watching on our Marshfield Broadcasting platforms.